Okay, so this tutorial I think is probably one of the most necessary ones to make right now as Kartra 7.0 has come out, and that is sending email broadcasts in the new Kartra interface. Now, hopefully there will be some changes made in response to the feedback that Kartra users have been giving, because there are some features in the new workflow that definitely, in my opinion, do not make sense. And they actually make creating an email broadcast harder rather than easier, which I know is not the goal of 7.0. So hopefully we see that. But in the meantime, I'm going to take you through the new interface of email and SMS in the marketing tab and walk you through where to find the important things that you need and some of the pitfalls that I've been seeing happening with this new system. So let's take a look. So when you are looking for your email now, it is going to be under the marketing tab. And the two places that we'll see our emails are emails and SMS, which are broadcasts, and sequences. They're both right underneath the marketing tab. In this video, we're going to go into emails and SMS. We're going to talk about creating, editing, cloning, scheduling, all the things for broadcast emails. SMS is pretty much a similar interface. It's just you choose SMS if you are integrated with one of the SMS providers. So I'm not going to go into that. We're going to stick with email today. So now when we go into emails and SMS, what we see is a list of our broadcasts. It looks different than it did, but it is still a list of our broadcasts with the most recently created at the top. Now, when we're creating something new, the button's in the top right. It's always been in the bottom right, and now it's moved to the top. This is one of those changes where I wonder, did we really need to move that? Because there are so many users who have been using Kartra for years now, and we're used to going into the bottom right, and now we have to go somewhere else. That to me is a change that doesn't seem essential and just seems like an annoyance rather than an improvement, but that's my opinion. Anyway, once we click on the plus broadcast in the top right, we get to this interface, which is definitely different. And what we're going to look at is the name of the broadcast for your reference only is over here on the left under name. The way that I create my broadcasts is year first and then the date. So I do month, day, and then a short descriptor of what this email is that I'm sending out. So, okay. Then you choose the type of broadcast, email or SMS. So we're going to choose email. Now, over here on the right, by default, is selected plain text. That's what I typically recommend using for your emails anyway. So that's what we're going to do. But if you wanted to, you could also grab any one of the pre-built HTML templates. So let's go ahead and click the create button. This is something that's definitely new. When you want to edit the name or the link of certain features, um, there are some other places that this has popped up where this is now the place to edit that name. But you can see that up here at the top, we have that name for the email that we just created, and you can click here and edit that if you wanted to. Where by default, we open up into the message tab and you'll see the familiar single email versus A/B split test. We are going to just do a single email. But now you can see it says design and configure your broadcast. The subject line by default is welcome to Kartra, which doesn't make any sense because If you forget to go and edit your subject line, which has happened already, maybe it's happened to you, and I'll show you why it's easy to forget to go in and edit your subject line. But if you do, the email that goes out to your clients, your email list is welcome to Kartra. That doesn't even make sense. They don't even know you use Kartra. I wish that if this had been that this default here, if it needs to be something, was something that wasn't so embarrassing and causes you to have to send an email to apologize and maybe even explain. So then you can see there's also text in here, and it's hello first name, nice to meet you. Again, we're not going to use that. Who would send out an email like that? So of course, we're going to click on this button over here on the right, Customize. So let's get into Customize. Now, here's where this layout, I think, hopefully, let's cross fingers, definitely give feedback, open up tickets if you need to, do feedback after you create a broadcast. You'll get that little pop-up window. But the subject line and the preview text should be right above the body text of the email. It's where we intuitively expect it to be. It's where it's been. Moving it to the sidebar where we have to click in to get to it, I just don't see the point. But as it stands right now, we're going to go over here onto the left-hand side, settings, and click on email subject. Now a window slides out where we can change that subject text. I know that part of what 7.0 is aiming to do is have us do less clicks, less customization if we don't need to, um, and not have to go through the entire process in order to just send out an email. But here's the thing. No one is going to send an email with the subject line, welcome to Kartra. There's really no need to have anything populated there. And honestly, this email process, the creation process, should force us to put in a subject line because that way we don't forget, especially when it's hidden in the sidebar. So we're going to change our subject text. I'm just going to put in something there, but this is the part where I tell you, please, please don't forget to go look for that email subject because Kartra will now allow you to send the broadcast without editing that. And because there is a default in there, it will be sent with that welcome to Kartra. And there you can put in your preview text, which I always like to use, but I don't need to use it right now for this example. We can slide that back in. Underneath that, we have attachments, which again used to be on the actual canvas where we're editing. I don't use attachments in email to an email list ever anyway, so I don't recommend you use that. And here are our dynamic variables, which are usually just visible in the builder, like on the canvas. And now they're here, and there are only 3. If you want to add more, you have to search for it and add it yourself. The nice feature here that I like that we haven't had before is the ability to click the icon to copy. And honestly, here, email address is probably something you will never, ever add as a dynamic variable. So I'm not sure why it's first up there. If this is meant to be clean and uncluttered, I don't think we should have it there. Again, just my opinion. Now, because we're in the text builder, we don't have any of these components highlighted here. And what we would do next is edit the content of the email. So now we have generate with AI over here on the left-hand side, if you use that feature. And here's where your favorite templates are going to be, if those are what you're looking for, if you want to do an HTML. You can select template with that blue button. And here, what it's going to allow you to do is first you need to switch into plain template. and then you can get to your favorites. So I'm going to switch over into plain template. It is going to tell me that I'm going to replace the current template. All of my copy, images, and changes will be lost. Now over here, we have our components if we wanted to build from scratch. And if we go to select template from here, so I've just put together a custom template, and it honestly took me a few minutes to find how to save this as a favorite. But you're going to click on actions in the top right and you can save the template. You can name them now, which is nice. And now when I go to select the HTML templates, my favorite will be shown there with the default templates. Once we have our email content in there, we can send a test message up here in the top right. Actions, we can save it. If we're working on it still, we can save and exit. We can exit without saving or save that template. So let's go ahead and save and exit and go through the rest of the important parts of setting this email broadcast up. The next setting in the workflow here, we have message from to automations and analytics. This is the next essential one, which is from to, which used to be recipients. In the top here, it shows your gateway. Yours will have your custom domain email that has been authenticated with DKIM. It will also show your mailing address that's going to show in the footer. Now, here is the next essential step, right? We have to, one, remember to edit that default subject line, and two, you need to edit your communication recipients. It used to be that unless we set our recipients and unless our recipients had at least one lead in that group of people, we weren't able to continue on and actually save a broadcast. In this case, it's populated by default with a category called Only Me, and it's got the one lead. This being here as a placeholder just means that if you are busy, if you are not paying attention to the details, you want to get a newsletter out, you're going to go through the process of writing it, doing all of that, and then you schedule it to go out. And when it goes out, you notice that it didn't send to anyone. And the reason is because you forgot to come in and change the recipients, and the recipients went out to Only Me. The other thing that I've seen clients do so far is not noticing that it was already populated with Only Me and the and so they come in and select subscribe to list and primary list. Typically, we're going to start from either subscribe to a list or a sequence and then add any other variables you want to filter for. But if we add this, it's still going to be just that one lead, you. You do need to actually delete out that Only Me tag. So I see no benefit to having that in there. I would much rather it be set to nothing and 0 and not letting me continue on to schedule the broadcast, because if I get to that point and I can't schedule, it's a reminder to come back and make sure that I have selected my recipients, right? While we're here, just another quick note, choosing who your recipients are. You always do want to start with either a list or a sequence that people are subscribed to, because those are what a lead can unsubscribe themselves from. So we are only sending to people who want to receive email from us. Then from there, we can select to add more filters. We can choose and or. And if we want then we can go through this whole list of filters that Kartra has. So while other platforms, you can pretty much only filter for what list or group or tag leads have, in Kartra, you can filter for all these all these filters, and there are so many in here. So if you haven't fully explored the way in which you can customize the group of leads that you're sending an email to, I encourage you to take a few minutes, get in here and scroll through all these filtering options that you have. The other option here is this yellow box that says ignore GDPR and CCPA. It does say it's not recommended. And what this means is that it will include contacts who have not agreed to receive commercial messages from you. Those are the people that live in areas where they are legally protected and able to opt in for someone's lead magnet or buy a course and opt out of receiving any other messages except for the essential. So the only time you do want to check this box is going to be when you are delivering something that people have either opted in for free and expect to receive, or purchase and expect to receive, or any type of notification or update related to those two things. Other than that, if you're sending out newsletters, if you're sending out marketing, you don't want to check that box, but that's what that's for in case you didn't know. So now that we've gone ahead and changed our communication recipients, which is now in the from to section, we can move on to automations. Automations is often something that you can skip, but the way that you can use this section creatively, you have the option of if contact opens this email, if they don't open this email, and then you can designate an amount of time. So if they don't open this email within a day, if they click a link, or if they don't click a link within a scheduled, within a selected period of time, then you can select all these different actions that would happen after that trigger. I like to use this if I have a custom unsubscribe link inside of my email. So if they click that link, then unsubscribe them from this list. You can also use this to assign tags based on what link they clicked. So if you have 4 links in an email and you'd like to know which one did they click, then you can assign a tag based on which link they clicked. So you can also do things like give points. So if you have a point system based on how much interaction your leads have, you can do that. You can do things even like grant access to a membership or revoke access to a membership, register for a webinar. So you can have a one-click registration link, subscribe them to a sequence. You can do a whole bunch of different things in the automation section, but you may not need it at all. And then in here, there's analytics, which doesn't really need to be in here for this interface where we're creating the email because it hasn't been sent out yet. There are no analytics to look at. Then we have this notification up here in the top right shows us that we're still in draft. And then we have this blue button that says send dash schedule. I really wish that this said send dash schedule dash save as draft, because it does feel a little bit ominous if you're creating this email and you're not ready to send or schedule. But you are going to click it, and then the option to do the 3, send immediately, schedule to send later, or save as a draft show up. So I'm going to go ahead and schedule this to send later. Of course, in here, you're going to choose your date and now your time. You no longer have to choose on the circle clock, which is nice. You can select it from here. Okay. So let's schedule. And what pops up here is congratulations, your broadcast is ready. And then how was your experience of creating a broadcast? Please use this feature and go ahead and give them the stars and the feedback that you want to share. Let them know if finding the subject line in the preview text is too hard. Let them know if you don't like that the recipients is now called from to and already populated with something like only me. Whatever your feedback is, I encourage you to utilize this feature. The other thing that I don't really love about this interface is that we have scheduled this broadcast and now we're still on the screen looking at it. it lends me to feel like, did I forget to do something? Because in the old Kartra interface, when we scheduled the broadcast or saved it as a draft or sent it, we were brought back out to the broadcast. So now we kind of have to click back to our emails and SMS section. And here we go. There's that broadcast that we just created together. The options here, if we click on the little message icon, we go straight into the editor where we can go ahead and click customize and change anything we need to in here. I do like that feature that kind of brings us straight in. And I do like that we don't have to save and next to go through everything. I just wish that there were some stopgaps that didn't let us just create a broadcast and send it out accidentally without changing some of the things that are pretty essential. The next thing we have in icons is analytics. We can click into that and we'll be brought to that analytics tab. We have to click back out again. Personally, I don't think there's any need to see our analytics while we're in the builder for one specific email. It doesn't really compute to me as to why that would be helpful. And then we have the three dots icon. If we click on it, here are our options. We can go straight to the automations, which is nice if you forgot to add an automation. In the old interface, we used to have to go into the editor, save and next all the way through to the last step. Now you can go straight to the automations. And here are the two features that I've seen some feedback that it's been hard to find, and that is your clone or delete. So you can clone an email or delete it if it hasn't been sent out yet. We do also have, next to emails and SMS, we do have an analytics tab that is in the main emails and SMS screen. So we don't have to go through one broadcast to get to our analytics. And honestly, this is where I would typically expect to go to see our analytics. This interface does look the way we're used to, and I'm super happy about that. Okay, so hopefully this was helpful in getting into the nitty-gritty of where to find the things that you're looking for as you want to send out an email broadcast in Kartra 7.0. If you have any questions, please let me know. I am happy to help you get through this and get adjusted. I would really love to see the subject line and preview text and all of that that's in the sidebar moved back into the main editor. And I think it would be helpful to remove the pre-populated subject line and the pre-populated recipients so that those things are stopgaps that make sure we can't schedule or send out a broadcast without having set those ourselves. What do you think? Tell me your feedback. Let me know in the comments. What's the next feature you'd like me to walk through? And I hope to see you in the next video.